like, like the middle of the summer, you're staying out of the fray, and and like Eddie will be like, "Hey, come on the Dave Portnoy show," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
I know I locked the fucking gate. I know I locked the fucking moonroof. It's still leaking. It's like, all right, so.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
New York, we are live on stage Wednesday, October 19th at Caroline's on Broadway. It's our home spot. It's where we've done almost all of our live New York shows. Need you to come out. Need you to show out. We have a lot of big stuff on the horizon for KFC Radio. And we need to show what we can do when it comes to moving tickets and putting on a live show. So I ask you, if you've ever been a fan of our show, if you've ever come to our shows, come out one more time at least. Wednesday, get your tickets to Caroline's. We want to have a Halloween show. We're going to do a costume contest. Best costume, funniest costume, whether you want to dress up like someone from KFC Radio or Barstool or just come up with a funny pop culture costume. $1,000 to the winner. We're going to be giving away all sorts of shit, merch, drinks. We're going to put on a spectacle of a time. So it's our home turf. I need you guys to show up for me and let them know what we do as Chicken Heads. So get your tickets. Go to the KFC Radio social media. It's our link in our bio, or you can see any of the tweets about it. You can buy tickets Wednesday, October 19th in New York. And then you'll also see on our ticket link, we're heading out west, Denver, then Phoenix, and L.A., that comes in November. So October's New York, West Coast swing in November. So please go get your tickets now. I have a new idea, by the way. So anybody who buys a ticket to Caroline's this time is in the running for a golden ticket, meaning we will pick one person from this pool of tickets sold for this show that will get free tickets for life in New York shows. So if you come to this show, we will draw names, or we'll look at however whatever receipts we have, and one of those people will never have to buy a ticket again for any of our New York shows. You're always on the house. So
let's give it away live at the show.
Okay, yeah, live at the show, we will announce who gets tickets for life anytime we ever put on a show in New York, plus $1,000 prize. So a lot of incentive to come out, as well as just getting to see us, hang out, take some pictures, do some shots, have a grand old time on a motherfucking Wednesday. So get your tickets now. All right, Monday edition of KFC Radio. So we have a Barstool personality in. We had to have this man in right now because, man, he's got the juice. It's all eyes on Rico Bosco.
So Feidelberg opted out of this one, huh? I mean,
it does look that way.
Just when I thought, you were
building blocks. Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. So we'll get into that.
But I'm happy though, because I'd rather talk solo right now, because you are in the tornado right now.
Why don't we get Rico's deal done right now? Let's just do it right now. What time is it? It's 12 o'clock. Let's get it done by 12:10.
You better fucking cut it. You better fucking cut it.
Kirk?
Yes, hello. Yeah.
You are in and this is the Barstool life, and this is the part of it that sucks. When two things. One, when you're in the blender and it's just like it's your turn because all eyes are on you, and it's just you're taking your lumps. And two, when you have to do ordinarily private things very public. Those are like the two things I hate the most about Barstool. Is the tidal wave that hits you. You can't just do you can't be like, you're all in, and then also it's like, hey, these are things that should be like private or one-on-one, or I only deal with that with my family or you or whatever, and it's for everyone to see.
The one thing I'll say, it doesn't seem like there's a flood in the car for sure, but I didn't leave the trunk open this time, and I've definitely left the sunroof.
You always had a little bit of air, a little bit of room. Now you feel like you don't have it.
There's been a million. No, I think you're misunderstanding.
Oh, okay.
Like if you get in a flood in your car, and it's like, well, how did this occur? A lot of times, I left the sunroof open and blown it on myself.
I understand.
This one, it was like I was sleeping.
Yeah, and it just came to your door.
Wait, what's going on? Like,
right.
I didn't.
Well,
like,
that's part of it too, where it's like
I've done a ton of things to bury myself.
Yeah,
like this one. I was like, I didn't expect this. So I know how it works now. You're in it. I know how to navigate it.
Right.
Obviously, or maybe I don't. But it's like I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't expect to like.
Well, what's
it was
funny?
gonna go. So
What's funny about it, and I know it sucks, but it's also like these are the things that also make Rico Bosco and Barstool like
polarizing. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
like it sucks when you're like, I know that this is apples to oranges, but to like give you an example for myself, I know when me and Dave do a rundown together that the audience loves it. I know that I'm going to go into it and I'm going to take some lumps and we're going to scream and yell and I'm going to fucking hate it, and it's a battle I can't win,
Right.
and it's his teams win and my teams lose, and he's big, I'm little, he's smart, I'm dumb, all that shit. But at the same time, I also just know that like we're not playing roles, but your role that you got to play within Barstool, if you feel me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Sometimes you just know where you're at and who we walk in a room, if you're the top dog, the little dog, the middle dog, the guy, the girl, whatever,
And I think even like a little pulling back behind the curtain, like I don't think you got that in the get go.
No,
when I was kind of like you like for sure, and I'm sure people are gonna like be like, oh, like you guys went at we went at it in a way of that we always I always knew what we were doing.
Yeah, no, I never thought there was
but
real
it did
beef.
take a little while where you kind of were like, what's this guy's deal? And then
Yeah.
once you kind of figured it out,
Well,
like,
I never like had met you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You got to meet somebody.
And
before
again,
you
like
know.
too, like this is like, maybe it's a theme of the week the way the blog's going with what certain people are putting out there, but don't let facts get in the way of a good story. The night of Francesicon, KFC loves to be like, I came up to him, was like, you know who I am? I came up very fucking sheepishly and was like, you ready to bury that, or you still want to run with your version of the story?
No.
You're still gonna run with your version of the story, or you want the truth actually out there?
What did I say? I don't even remember. I said
I come up and I was like, hey Kev,
this is Francesicon at
wherever the fuck it was
in
the city.
In Saloon, like the early one?
No. Mike and the Mad Dog reunion.
Oh, that one.
You're
okay.
online.
Yeah, yes.
You're online.
Yes.
And it was the first time we met.
Right.
And I come up and I was like, hey Kev, Rico. And you were like, oh my, like you knew right away from the voice.
Right.
But so the way, and then the story comes out the next day at the rundown. He's like, this guy came up to me. He was like, you know who the fuck I am? And I'm just, and again, like as much as people are always like, oh, you're a maniac. Like I the whole time I was like, I think I probably even text you or like DM. I was like, hey, that was a funny story. Like why let that? It's 6 years later. Like now you can let it go.
Yeah,
but it's like,
I don't. That's funny. I don't even remember. That's great. I know it's funny when you know somebody. It's different than when you don't know somebody. Because even if it's like silly, harmless shit, if I don't know somebody, I'll be like, oh, fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
You're saying shit about me. You're loud mouth. I don't fucking know you. Go fuck yourself. Then you meet somebody, and it's like now we can say whatever we want. But there's this point at Barstool in general where it's like fucking Inception with the top, and you don't know if it's reality or a work, and that's why this place works, is because we're not acting, we're letting out our most outrageous sides of ourselves, or we're embellishing, or we're I'm pretty fucking real. I'm like, I just wouldn't behave this way in front of other people or certain circumstances, but I'm like, when I'm screaming and yelling or I'm fired up about something, it's never fugazi, it's never fake, but it's definitely trumped up because I'm just kind of letting out like my most like dumb macho side of me, right? But then there comes a point where you do it for a long time and you're like, what's up and what's down? Where am I? What's real? What's not real?
It's very hard to tell the difference of like where but it's weird because like I agree with you. Like I do think your personality was authentic. Like everybody who got here is an authentic person. If you're putting on like a full act, I think you could tell real quick.
Yeah.
And anyone who knew me from the outside is like, oh yeah, like that guy's nut. Like nuts, but like
in a wholesome, funny way. Yeah.
Things like you see your buddy. Like there was, I'll never like true story. We're at the ferry at like 4 a.m. on New Year's Eve. Few too many whistle pigs. I don't know if they were in existence back then, but I'll give you the plug. Few too many whistle pigs. I roll up into the ferry from a party and there's a bunch of my buddies there that were coming from something else and like hadn't seen him in a while, and like you do the same thing you do with your boys, like you're just breaking balls. One kid goes, "Oh, here we go." He goes, "We're in for a show now."
Yes.
And like you're into the whole, I'm recapping
my
whatever.
Friends would always
and,
go like whenever if I came in too hot, they'd go, "Oh, we got KFC tonight. Okay, buckle up.
Yeah.
We don't have Kevin tonight. We've got KFC."
Well, no, this was 10 years ago. I'm like, and like people are always like, yeah, like immediately they knew what was going on. And
well,
like, in
so
terms
here's
of,
the thing about that. Rico Bosco. Is Rico? What is Rico Bosco? Is it a Sopranos guy?
No,
Rico,
James Villani from Hang Time. You definitely watched the show on
Yeah,
Saturday mornings
yeah.
with Anthony Anderson. It was filmed in a room this fucking big.
Yeah, okay.
The kid's from Staten Island. Last year, I was out with my wife. The guy walks in, and she's looking at me like it was one of those. She's like, "You like what's going on?" I'm like, "You don't know who that is?" I was like, "That's the real Rico Bosco." So I went to him and approached him. He goes, "You know how many people fucking like tell me, like ask me or what's going on?" He's a great guy. Like it turns out I have mutual friends whose kids he's his godfather. Like,
but when did you start calling yourself that? Like, how did that all come about?
I figured you needed a name. Like I mean, as
but
much
this is
as people
this is just WFAN callers, right?
2015? No, I was Terry from the Bronx for a little while.
Okay.
Calling in.
Right.
And then because I'm obviously from Staten Island, but I was living in the Bronx at the time. And then with Barstool, I was like, it was getting a little bit more traction. Like I was on the voicemails every time now. I'm like, all right, if you're gonna try and like get your own social media and like down the road potentially, that was the other thing too. Like it was like I never thought I could like I thought I had the capability of contributing here. Yeah. But I never thought, like I always looked at you guys like superstars. I was like, they're not gonna call. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that element now of like where people are like they repost a viral video and they're like, all right, so I got a job offer. It's like it don't work like that. Right. You know what at least whatever, but you know what I mean? Like
sometimes apparently it does, but
well, no, I meant like one college kid, like random. It's like, what do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that
for years.
Yeah, I mean, with the fucking who was the big kid from St. John Fisher? That was a wild.
I mean, we got a little loose for a second there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a rep when he's coming in to do the interview. It's like, okay, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, but so the calls and like linking up with Dave is kind of how everything started with Barstool, right?
Yeah. Hank put the voicemail out, and like I said, I've sent it on a bunch of different shows, Erica's, and like if you follow Pick'em, they put that out of like, hey, we're gonna take voicemails, and everybody out there called in, or people called in and was just like, I like Fordham plus 36.
Yeah, just
I like Syracuse.
Blah, blah, blah.
I had studied the business, studied WFAN. I know what works. Like that crazy girl from Rego Park, like those people, Vinny from Queens, like my dad you would know these guys. He would turn up the volume and be like,
Lisa from Whitestone and them.
Yeah, he hated the Yankees, but he's like, Vinny from Queens is a sharp
good
guy.
Caller.
Like,
yeah.
That's your voice. Like this was way back in the day. So I was like, hey, this is kind of like an audition. Like, for sure. And I
took that opportunity.
Walked out of work on a lunch break or like a fake smoke break or whatever, and called in, left a voicemail, and then like Friday, I was driving up to homecoming. My buddy texted me like, "Yo, I just heard you on Barstool."
On the show, yeah.
I was like, "All right."
Right.
And then the first quotes out of them is like, "Yo, this like
guy's
I think Dave goes, I like this guy, and Dan goes, this guy should have his own show." Was the quotes. I was like, all right. And again,
we're doing.
But I just was like
serious calls, the Friday afternoon calls.
Yeah, I was always calling
the fucking theme music in the background. So this is all to say that like it's the Rico Bosco character that like gave birth to all this, right? But then when you get here, like kind of in a full-time role, and you want to just start talking like regular and normal, do you feel like, oh fuck, I gotta do this, or like I don't want to do that anymore? But
I think it just shows. I think it just shows a little bit more of your onion, if that makes sense. Like you don't just have a fastball. Like go listen to the dog walk. Like I compared the Mets starting rotation to the cast of Mean Girls.
Right.
Like that takes a fucked up brain, but it's in a calm manner.
Yeah.
You know, I also think like at a certain point, if you're yelling and screaming all the time, like they'll be like, all right, cool, I've seen that fastball.
One trick pony. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, truthfully, if I didn't get hard, I'd still be calling into radio, just like, or
just a maniac. Yeah.
I would have just been like the unnamed guy. Like I would just still call, probably a little bit down ticked.
Yeah.
You know, like not screaming, yelling, but I would still debate guys on it.
Sure.
Or if Pick'em still had voicemails, I would call. Like, yeah, it's just
you gotta have a little bit of a screw loose.
Oh, without a doubt, but it's a niche market. But that's what we grew up on. Like all the inside jokes of my friends on text about like Francesa and different radio call. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just how you grew up here.
Isn't it weird? I don't know. I mean, it still goes on, but like and maybe it's just because I haven't listened as much, but it does feel like it's kind of faded a little bit to me with the podcasts and everything. Like,
I think callers are
like I don't know. Every city probably has their own talk radio, right? But like, I mean, Francesa and Dog like invented the fucking genre practically, and then you have Boomer and Carton, and you got all the like just tons of talent at WFAN. So I still feel like New York, nobody can really like have the same experience as being a sports fan growing up, listening to the radio, the callers, the like. You have to listen after a loss. You got to listen after a win. Well, that was the thing.
It's like now when you have accessibility. Kind of hurt them.
Yeah, right.
And it's
because
crazy.
I mean, a game would end at night, and you'd be like, I can't wait till 1 p.m. the next day. Now it's like I got a guy who I like who's doing it at 11:02 p.m. after the fucking game ended.
Yeah, and it's specific. So like a 5-hour show, like divide up the breaks or whatever. Or if they want to talk about the Giants and you have no interest in the Giants, you just want to kind of hear about the Mets. Now there's like a Mets specific podcast.
You can just go.
We Gotta Believe. Go check it out.
Like boy company, man.
I mean,
come on.
I'm like
that one's for free. Let's go.
Slinging things here. Whistle Pig Colleen, what are you plugging? We got Barstool merch. Yeah, I mean that's but like the accessibility.
My favorite story growing up is I had a buddy who he ended up loving it himself, but he got in the car with his dad when he was like, I don't know, fucking 10 years old, and his dad puts on WFAN, and he was like, Dad, do we have to listen to this? And he was like, yes. Yes, we do. Like, he turned it up. He's like, listen to this man. Like, it was Francesa or whoever. Like, this is important. This is who we are. This is what we do. We listen to WFAN when we're driving the car. And it was like, I mean, that for me, that was like a lifestyle. It's almost Halloween.
Ooh. You feeling spooky?
I woke up feeling spooky today. What do you think is there's more bloodshed in? Friday the 13th? Nightmare on Elm Street? Or me shaving my balls without a Manscaped clipper?
Here's the deal. I've seen none of those movies.
But you have seen your bloody balls.
I have seen my bloody balls. I don't know about you. I don't know.
I would imagine
are you
seen bloody balls.
You're a leaky?
Aren't we all when you get the clip of it?
When you get the clip in there,
bite?
I actually kind of think it's cute.
Just like two
That's
little.
not what I should have said on an advert.
Leave it in.
I don't know what I was talking about. I was just trying to make a joke, and I had nowhere to go after that.
Sometimes you just start and you don't know where it's going to finish.
The Michael
it's
Scott.
Not cute.
Sometimes I'll just start a sentence and I don't know where it's going to end. And sometimes I'll think that fucking biting my own dick is cute.
It is not cute to cut your own balls, and it's super painful to cut your own balls, and it does leak like a ton. I don't know why. There's just so much blood in that area. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like your head.
Yeah.
Head and head.
Right. That's where the blood is. You cut one of those, you're gone. So the Lawnmower 4.0 has the skin-safe electric trimmer that also has a light in it so you can see what you're doing. It's waterproof. It's nick-proof. It's ceramic. It's can hold a charge for a long time. The Weed Whackers for your nose and your ears. The Crop Preserver and the Reviver are these toners and creams and sprays that tighten your balls up and keep them sharp and make them smell good and feel soft. And the Magic Mat is this disposable shaving mats. So you cut all that hair off and you're done. It looks like a bear in a cave. You just take it and throw it out.
The mat is the fact
so brilliant.
The mat isn't universal and regular.
Yep.
Is like even just like shaving my beard or wherever. I look at my sink and I'm like, where the fuck did all this hair come from?
And then you try to wipe it. You get like a cup full of water and you splash it, but there's a bunch that don't. Yep. And then you like wipe it with your hand and it gets like a line. And
real
it's
gross.
Disgusting. Even though it's like my chest hair. It just came right there, but like so get the mat and all that at Manscaped.com. Code KFC. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code KFC at Manscaped.com. Like, I never called, but I was like, I wouldn't, I had Boomer and Carton. I did more of the TV simulcast because I was working from home. So I would be blogging, and I would have them on in the morning, and then Mike on TV, and like all of that. The battle with Kay, and the fucking simulcast, leaving Yes, going to this, Fox Sports, blah, blah, blah. To me, it was like professional wrestling. I was like, I follow those guys.
Without a doubt.
Like the way I follow an athlete. Like, what's their contract? Where are they going to sign with? Who's better? Who's the best?
And you talk about being polarizing, right? Like, I remember it briefly, but the segment that they would do every Monday was guess the ratings
Yeah.
of fucking sport. Like, we're gonna fucking age ourselves.
Eight-
People
eight- 8.1, Mike.
People are
8.1,
watching
Michael.
this and are like, you guys are old. But like, in a nutshell, in an elevator pitch, basically they would talk about what was on the air over the weekend and guess the television ratings by numbers.
The Nielsen ratings.
Nielsen
People
ratings
by
by
numbers.
numbers.
Know what they mean.
And imagine this in July when it was like, yeah, dog, what do you think the Bob Hope Classic did? And he's like 2.6, close 2.6. Like, that's
And they
radio.
would just go back and forth.
People, I don't know anyone.
Loved it.
I don't know anyone who liked it. They hated it. But
they
by
listened
God,
to it.
did they turn it up and go, I can't believe they're doing this again. It's like, we got you. You know, like,
yeah, because it was.
It's really,
it really
a fascinating
is an accessibility
study.
thing, though, because like
Yeah.
now I plug in my phone and I have a whole slew of podcasts that I listen to, and when that one's done, I go to this one and and by the time I'm done, it's a new week and I go back to the beginning. When I didn't have that and the fucking, Z100 and Hot 97 were on commercial or whatever, I would listen to Francesca go 82 wins, 81 wins, 83 wins.
His ERA in the last 5 games, 3.9.
Just reading numbers out loud that we don't know what he's talking about.
And people would wait, myself included, would wait an hour to call. Me and my brother, I'll never forget this. Driving home from my sister's graduation, maybe, for an hour and a half. And we're listening to the whole thing.
just waiting
Somebody
on the
called. No, we weren't. I didn't call this day.
Okay.
But we're listening. For sure, these guys waited 40 minutes. Like, you know how it works.
Yeah.
And it's right before a commercial break. And he's like, hey, Mike, I just wanted your opinion. Do you think, like, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are, like, the best ever at their positions or something like that? Or first ballot Hall of Famers? Like, quick question. Mike goes, nah, I would disagree. He goes,
Michael.
yeah, he goes to the McMahon. And you're,
That's it.
and you're like this, and this guy hung up the phone. Is like, God damn it! Like, it's just a why I don't know.
But also in Mike's
but people,
defense,
but people would call for an
imagine
hour to
waiting-
argue with
yeah,
him,
but-
argue with him just to get shit on. It's
But
like,
imagine
it's crazy.
waiting an hour to then think that like Mike's gonna talk to you for 30 minutes about Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. Like it's like sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. It's like, who
No,
fucking
for
knows,
sure.
know?
And like that's why I loved here because it was like, and again, like I study the business and different things, but like, and again, like major personalities at ESPN, right? Like Van Pelt now you would look at, or Dickie V back in the day when he was like running with it. It's like their Twitter interactions, like like they weren't interact like it wasn't a dialogue. Van Pelt's good at it now, but like Barstool embraced it of like, we're
accessible.
Hey, read this email.
The accessibility
you're
of
accessible.
Barstool.
So it's like, yeah, that's
we go through
why
this all the time. And actually, we're about to start doing it more. When we do our live shows in the beginning, we would stay and we took a picture with every single person. We would do shots and drink beers and hang out with every single person. And that's cool when you're 25. When you're 35, it's a little bit of a different story. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for
everyone's
sure.
shit-faced. I never realized how everyone was shit-faced because I was shit-faced too. But always, everybody's blacked out. And
Responsibly.
Of course.
You want to hear it good? Yeah. We went to Iowa, and we're close with all those kids, and the coach likes us. And it was a big win against Michigan State, and they had a couple of Garza got his number retired. Like we're in the NBA now, and so we had a table, and like we picked up whatever we're all going out, and like the whole time people are like, the kids at the live show are like, yo, are you gonna come out? I'm like, yeah, I'll show you guys shit you never even saw before. Dude, a 6 a.m. flight to get home the next day.
Ooh, baby.
It was tough.
Bro, I
hung
it up.
I regret this.
Dude, I hung it up. I don't even try anymore. Like I used to be able. I was never. I could always just like go drink for drink, beer for beer, shot for shot. I was never like the Frank the Tank of the party, like let's go streaking. But I was just always there, able to do it, and it's just not worth it to me anymore. It's like I'll die the next morning, the next 2 days.
It was a fun night.
used to be able to dial it up still and be like, I don't even know if I could do that anymore because it's like, I don't know if I can. I don't even want to find out if I can, but it's
the same way you talk about that accessibility. Like if you go out there and you fucking just like people are like, oh, you coming out? Like they want again. Like I'm not saying
that's why Barstool. Like I hope
they don't.
I
just
think
want
people want to see
be,
the show. I think they like the show, but I think they want to meet you and say hi. And so we stopped doing it a little bit because it's overwhelming. We're doing bigger places. I can't say hi to 1,000 people. Blah blah blah. And then we had Steve-O here from Jackass, and we asked him something, or like he was like, if I could sum up everything in one word, whatever it was, he was like, he's saying a very profound thing, and he was like, what I would say is, I took a picture with every single person that ever came to any of my shows, and I was like, if Steve-O's doing that, like, who am I not to, you know? So I think we're gonna start doing it again, where we do meet and greets and just it's hard. Everyone, you know what it is? Everyone wants to do their call. They want to do their call-in. So it's like, take a picture, say hello. Let me tell you something about blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Don't you think, tell me about DeGrom. What do you think?
But
It's like, dude, if I do that with you and you and you, we'll be here for 7 hours.
But
I
that's
can't do it.
Yeah, but it's somehow we have found a way. Like one of my favorite tweets of yours back in the day was fucking, you're like, yeah, I just saw a stoolie who saw me on the street and goes, don't even bother going to Walgreens. It's a war zone. Like,
yes, I remember that guy.
Those are the funniest interact. Like, again, it's not,
Yeah.
you know, like, and 99% of the people, actually 100% of the people I've met
are cool.
Yeah, when you see him, and it's quick-witted, like funny. It's it's like,
I
so that's
what
what
makes
makes
the
it
best interaction I think ever. Just recently, like yesterday, 2 days ago, this guy saw me. We were walking opposite ways. We kind of made eye contact, and he just goes, "Yo," and I said, I just kind of gave him a head nod. And he just pointed, gave a thumbs up, kind of sideways, and just kept going. And it was just like a fucking Fight Club. It was just like, we're in this fucking thing together. We know it. We're in this like secret fraternity. Just a thumbs up. Cool. Good to go. But so those people you're cool with. And then it's the block show. Everybody else on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, to be honest, like, you know, you kind of know what you're doing of like, all right, that's a thing.
I like that you made it a thing. I think if you block, like, just block, it's kind of like, what are you doing? But when it becomes a thing, I blocked by Rico Bosco. Can I get unblocked by Rico Bosco? Who isn't?
For sure.
Then it becomes, part of the gig, part of the shtick.
Yeah, for sure.
But so where are we at? Like, where are we at right now? So this is all to say, the reason I brought this all up is because as much as I want everybody to do what they want to do here, I don't want people to lose sight of what makes them them, you know? And I love, what I love from you is like crazy Rico Bosco and something like the Mean Girls comparison or, you're Saved by the Bell type shit or whatever. And then I know there's a side of you that wants to just like talk X's and O's about college basketball, but what people get what they want from certain people that they know. You know what I mean? Like, they get their X's and O's from somebody. They want fucking 90s nostalgia and crazy fucking wild shit from Rico Bosco, you know? And I want that for them. I want it for you. I want it all. You know what I mean? So I just want you to remember, like, that the Rico Bosco of, like, I think you need your music back. I think we need someone for you to call in to remember some of the fucking, you know what I mean?
It definitely takes a lot though getting dialed up.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like, let's face it. Like, what if I was like Frank the Tank at all times? Would me and you be on great terms?
That's redundant, by the way. Frank the Tank is you would be like Frank the Tank. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Would you couldn't have? We wouldn't be able to interact like this. You'd be like, I'm not putting that guy on my show. Because there is no levels.
No.
You know? And like the guys who do it the best, like, have different ways to kind of show that.
Right. I mean, mix it up, throw the change up a little bit.
If you haven't listened to Out and About, another plug, Stu Feiner on Out and About talking about like the overcoming some stereotypes that he used to have with his son who ended up being gay.
Yeah.
Is maybe the most fascinating thing in the world.
Right. Yeah,
so like,
Stu's a good example. We had him on this too.
So like, I just think,
I say,
if you got more than one pitch, you're more valuable. That's kind of where,
for sure.
But don't get me wrong, like my
I want you to throw the fastball. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. And
DeGrom throwing his fucking changeup 65 times in a row the other night. Throw the fucking fastball.
Yeah. But I mean, the gambling streams, I've never I'm not. If you're invested in it, like I'm always gonna be throwing fastballs there. You know, so like in Pick'em, we're always still throwing jabs, and like that's how it goes. But
I think you're in a tough spot too with Dave, where like, it's. I think Dave says this a lot. Like, it's when he doesn't talk to you is when he doesn't trust you and doesn't want to do anything with you and has nothing to do with you. So, but that becomes unfair because then you become either like the punching bag or the fucking whipping boy or whatever. But it's like, okay, it's a good thing that you're doing this to me. What? That's fucking hard to.
For sure, I get it.
It's like maybe then leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't say that.
No, but then it's
for sure. No, it's the
problem.
balance. It's the balance. Or like again, like like the middle of the summer, you're staying out of the fray, and and like Eddie will be like, "Hey, come on the Dave Portnoy show," and you're like, I know I locked the fucking gate. I know I locked the fucking moonroof. It's still leaking. It's like, all right. So it's just interesting. Yeah. It's interesting how like to balance that and that. Imagine all that and like a lot of it too. Like people. I think people are always like. I mean, it's tough to phrase it this way, but people are always like, oh, like I must be like it's awesome there. It's like but like there is a craft to it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fucking digging ditches. Like I get it.
Sure.
But like
here's the thing.
you got to craft how you like want to be. And
life like balances, everything in life balances out, right? So when you say, like, there's no such thing as a free lunch, or not everything is all roses, or whatever fucking euphemism you use, right? That applies to everything in life, including here. So when you look at the job from the outside, people say like, oh my God, it's amazing. All you do is talk sports and chicks and hang out with the boys all day. Like, that must be great. Well, then that probably means there's another side to it that balances it out. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it would just be a fucking lottery ticket, free for all.
Yeah.
My life is a literal dream. There's another side to it that people don't know. That's like it's a lot to deal with the public. It's a lot to deal with the pressure, the quote unquote fame, the I don't want to call it bullying, but like the fucking
for sure.
You gotta be like on edge all the time.
That's a
so
perfect
like
analogy.
you might not know that, but just think about everything else in life. You say like, oh man, wouldn't it be great to be like an actor? And it's like, yeah, but they can't walk down the street without getting mobbed, right?
Yes.
People take the time to think about the downsides of other sides of entertainment. Oh, Britney Spears is amazing. No, Britney Spears can't fucking leave her house. Michael Jackson, you know, whatever. They don't think about it with Barstool, though. They just think it's all good because they think it's just guys hanging out. It's like, there's a whole other side that's fucking hard. And also, by the way, no blueprint. Like, we're the first ones doing it because we're the only guys on the internet who did it the way we did it.
Two things off of that. One, I definitely wasn't part of the guys who built it, but I always admired you guys. Before I forget, I definitely studied, like, still to this day, listen to everything. Yeah. I've asked you, like, yo, can I pick your brain? Like, just different
always.
How to transition questions. That. Like, I've listened to a million different podcasts of just like, you don't want to, like, otherwise I'll hear the voices in my own head, so I just turn on the podcast. Mm-hmm. But it's like just toying with, all right, how to, like, do that? Like, questions. Like, what if, and again, like, there's no reason to not prep. Like, what if I do get an opportunity to interview Mark Wahlberg? Like, don't get me wrong, it's a fucking 1,000,001 shot.
Right.
But like,
you're
some
thinking
things,
about it and ready.
Or how to bring up like older things, or what work, even more so social. Dan Patrick, I thought, was a good guy. His clips used to go viral way back in the day with Joe Montana when they asked about the Rudy game. Mm-hmm. Like the throwback story that people don't know about, or like a weird tie-in. Like Dave and Dan do it a lot. You guys do it a lot. Like, again, and people are always like, you know, you can't, like, I'm studying that shit. It's all up there somewhere.
For sure.
And then the point you brought up about, like, oh, it's a free for all. I'll never forget this. I worked for some fake recruiting firm where they would basically, like, it's so fucked up, dude. It was in Lower Manhattan.
They recruiting for what?
Filling like technology jobs.
Okay.
Wild.
Okay.
This is how it worked. It's total, like, it was wacky. But like, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's basically like they call you, these people who are like have the skills in like technology, developers, okay? Real quick. And like they basically talk to you and be like, hey, like, you know, have you interviewed anywhere? Like, I want to make sure I don't put you in front of the same place. What they're basically doing is pulling all the info from you so that they could fill it with Colleen. It's so fucked up. It's like, all right, Kevin, give me all your info, and I don't want to make sure. And they just put Colleen in and make the commission. And they make the commission on this guy. They make the commission on the back end. It's like, it's fucking crazy. But the first week, this kid comes in, and every week you would see those sales threads, which is the worst thing in the world if you're in there. The fucking, you know, you make the little story, how you did it, whatever. This kid's making like a lot of money. Every week he was doing sales threads. And he didn't owe us dick to come in there. And I also knew, I mean, whatever. I had the fire department in my back pocket. Yeah. So this was like a time gap. I was just filling the fucking, like, I was looking at pics half the fucking time. So anyway, so long story short, he comes in and he was like, hey, listen, it was all guys in the room. He's like, listen, I'll tell you guys like what's going on. He's like, did I expect to do this? He goes, no. He goes, when somebody called me and said, you want to make $100,000 a year, I was like, all right, what's the catch? He goes, we get but this is how it works. He goes, we get happy hours. There's a lot of good-looking girls working here. We do, like, fun activities, like Olympics Day in the office, shit like that. So you do have some fun. He goes, that's to distract you from the fact that you wear a suit and we work you to the bone for 9 hours. So, like, on a Thursday, you get to go out and, like,
we had a couple beers
and like have a couple of beers. It's like, okay, but like,
back to it.
It distracts you from. He's like, that's the thing. He goes, it's gonna, like, don't, like,
just look over here, shiny objects.
Yeah, he was like, this is how it's gonna work. Like, I'm telling you the secret. He goes, I make a boatload of money, but I do know the goods and the bads. Yeah. So like,
I mean, I always thought that when if you have a job that is not quote unquote fun, like, or in your passion. That's why I always tell people, like, within reason, like, spend the money that you make and buy a nice thing or go on the trips, because you can't make your life at work fun. So you gotta have all the fun outside of work. You know what I mean? If you're not gonna enjoy your job, make sure you enjoy outside the job as much as you fucking can. So make the money to fund that other part of life.
Yeah.
So where do you think you're at with Dave right now? Because you get to a spot where it's like, are we cool? Are we not?
It's never been bad. I mean, it gets heated for sure, but it's like, yeah, it's tough.
I listened to
because it's like forever. It's like lifetime contract. It's like, all right, well, I'm just looking at, you know what I mean? Like that wait is now 2 months away. That makes people act a little whack. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're playing for a contract deal.
Sure. I listened to the Kirk Minahan live negotiation, real-time negotiation, which is one of those things that's fucked up where it's like everybody else is, got an agent or
with 2 crews.
Yeah. Well, you got 2 skips.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of, I mean, it was funny because Dave, like, they were talking about the workload, and it went from like 10 to 15 blogs. They agreed on 12, and then Dave was like, that's pretty much it. He was like, I guess that's it, which is funny because it's like they were about to do this whole big, okay, like Boris versus, with the client, and Dave goes, I don't know, that's, if he does that, we're good. So are we, I mean, is it, you are a good writer. You are a good writer. Like that is,
yeah,
those blogs are funny.
Yeah.
Those
but
are
again,
good.
like it's fine. And again, like I respected, like I don't know if I ever could have done like 15 in a day because it's just like
no, but
you guys were back. I know
it was so different. There was so much material because
like
nobody was.
I'm fascinated. I know it's kind of a dying thing, but like oral histories of stuff, fascinated with.
Mm-hmm. Do that. Do some of that shit.
I know, but
sprinkle in some fucking tits and ass, and then do some.
But I'm just saying, like imagine if like. I don't know, like 5,000 words on the history of like TRL.
Well,
if you went and got those people, I'm just saying. I know how to like. I'm not pitching chapter books. Like I get it.
Like when I do 1 Minute Man, those are just like blogs in fucking video form. Like it's a lot of the same shit.
Does it go up on the blog though?
I think Nick or somebody usually posts it. Yeah, okay. but it's not like transcribed. It's just like the videos out there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I always tell myself that I should transcribe it or write it out as well, and I just. So many hours in a day, and I don't. But like those are things that like it might take forever to fucking write it, but it doesn't take forever to turn it on and be like, I'm Rico Bosco, we're doing the oral history of TRL right now. We started in 1999 when Carson Daly, blah, 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 because those are the things like you're passionate about. And then keep up with like this shit is like when, I heard you say, you shouldn't have said this. You're in the middle of a negotiation, you say that you turn your brain off half the time.
It's not turning it off.
You said my brain turns off every other week.
No. I think he said, "Does your brain just turn off?"
And you said, "Yeah."
I said, "Kind." I think I said, "Kinda." I never.
You don't do that in a negotiation.
I never give definitive.
I believe what you're trying to say though is certain things strike you, and you're like, "I'm gonna write a really funny blog because Paul's being an asshole."
Yes.
I'm gonna write a funny blog because Kirk and blah blah blah. It's the inspiration, right?
Yes.
So write about or do videos about the shit you're passionate about. I know that you guys tried with you're a no quitters guy, right? You're one of those
I've
TV guys.
watched the challenge here and there.
I thought you were one of those guys because I always tell them, I'm like, you tried the podcast and it did good in its niche, but it didn't get picked up. But that doesn't mean you can't do like an Instagram video about it.
Yeah, I think
TikTok or a recap
is,
video or
TikTok
TikTok.
Is definitely the way to go. Yeah,
like I mean, it's not easy. Like I haven't even broken through on TikTok, but like there are these formats and places to go do your thing, but you have to do you. Like you can't do what Dave wants, or you can't even do necessarily what you want. I bet, maybe I'm speaking for you, but I bet if you could just snap your fingers, you would be like a regular college basketball broadcaster or analyst, right? But you are this big fucking personality that's like larger than life at times. You got to do that.
Yeah, I think that gets misconstrued too. Like, oh, you just want to be a talking head in a suit. Like, I definitely don't, because I think that's dying. I want to, but if you, and again, like studying the media, you watch who's making one of the biggest waves right now in college football is Pat McAfee. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, this company is fucking built on guys carving the niche and being like, that ain't gonna work. It's like, nah, I'm a career knuckleballer, and watch me, it's gonna work.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
So like finding, like being able to work in sports with your own curveballs.
But I'm just saying, remember to throw. I don't know if it's the fastball or the curveball. Throw the fastball. Because that is what, like, it's DJs. It's the fucking Saved by the Bell stuff. It's the theme music. It's the screaming and yelling, the good kind, not the bad kind. It's all of that. And I think when you get either pigeonholed as, I'm just the Dan and Dave guy or I'm whatever. Like, you got a character and it's a character, it's real, it's, it's that gray area is the sweet spot,
For sure,
yeah. You're not just a made up character, you're not just yourself, you got this wrestling, you're a wrestler, right? So you got to like cut your promos and do your own mic work. And like, it works because it worked as a caller and the fans loved it. And those guys loved it for a reason. Like, get back to those basics and do that, because that, like, it's sometimes as I'm doing this more and more, I think more of like the recruiting side of things. And I'm like, just do what works. It's like, it's you're lucky enough to have something that people like at all, or people who are trying a million different things. Nobody likes any of it. You know what I mean? Throw the fastball.
Yeah.
Fucking, you got 101 mile an hour. Throw the fastball.
Let's see. We'll do a little closing test. If you were signal it to me in the pre-games, how do you signal a fastball? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, they go up for fastball,
this
down
is fastball,
for...
and that's for the curve. Yeah, I know. See? It's Barstool Sports.
Hit up the Barstool Sports Store Monday the 18th tomorrow. If you're listening on drop day, John has a whole new line of Sad Boy season stuff coming out. I have stuff coming out on the 27th. If you're watching on YouTube, I've got this. I'm wearing the burnt orange waffle thermal long sleeve tee. We've also got some Henleys coming. I've got a brand new hoodies coming out. We've got a whole bunch of stuff for the Moon Man brand on the 27th and a whole bunch of stuff for Sad Boy season on the 18th, plus everything else on the KFC Radio brand, all of our t-shirts, Jackie stuff. We've got all sorts of other accessories, t-shirts, and whatnot from over the years. So go get your Moon Man gear, go get your Sad Boy gear, and all things KFC Radio at store.barstoolsports.com. Check out the KFC Radio section and be ready for the drop on the 18th and the 27th this year. All right, second half of today's episode. After Rico, Feidelberg is gallivanting out in Lord knows where. Could be dead for all we know.
3 hours outside London.
He hit up his travel agent, Rose. She's like 100 years old. He did not even think about having to get to Manchester. He just thought about London. It's like flying to you fly to a country just thinking like you're there. Like, no, there are spots within the country. We really fucked him on this one.
Yeah,
we fucked him good. Like, if this was me, I would have just been like, I'm not going, guys. You cannot bully me into this. But
also,
that's why I love John.
Also, Man City, Liverpool, like going.
Yeah, like
to
going,
Man City,
like if I didn't realize, like, and I went to like somehow I was inside Yankee Stadium for it, I'd be like, fuck this.
Especially being an American, going there
right.
dressed out in all Liverpool shit.
You already hate me because I'm like an American fraud, and now I'm rooting and singing the fucking song and all.
Like, he joked like I might die here, and it's like I have seen that's the song that I sent in our group chat.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody caught. That's at the end of Green Street Hooligans. When the lead guy dies.
Guys, yeah, he's dead. So we'll see what happens to him. But I thought it was appropriate that I finally got some solo time. We did the Kevin Clancy show for a while, and mail time, and then radio, and I haven't had a chance to just riff solo, and it's perfect that it comes at a time after the Mets loss, because I am crushed. Like, I was absolutely fucking devastated by that team. And I don't even think I knew it was coming. Like, I knew how important it was. And then when they lost the Atlanta series, and then lost like the Atlanta series, I realized how upset I was. And then the playoffs, I just was emotionally like crushed. And this isn't going to be a big sports thing. In some ways it is, but it applies to kind of everybody, because I realized that I think when you're a sports fan, you're a sports fan for more than just sports. Whether or not you realize it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you're rooting for a team because you need it. You need a win in your life. You need a distraction in your life, or it represents something more to you, or it's symbolic of something to you. And I didn't realize until it was after the fact how much I felt like the Mets was like my life, where it's like there's this team that has this reputation that everybody thinks a certain way about them, and they're the butt of the joke, and they get made fun of, and they lose, and they can't get the job done, and they're the loser rep, And with everything that's gone on in my life, that's been the last, 5 years for me, has just been this one thing that everybody thinks about me. And, whether it's that or just the reputation I have at Barstool and the winning and the losing and the money and the no money and the whatever, it's like I just have this reputation, and that just leads to constant jokes and trolling, and that's just how it is. And then it's always been that way for the Mets, and it's been that way for me in my life. And then the Mets start to do this thing where they're winning a fucking ton, a lot, all the time, almost every day, all week, every month, all season. And I was watching people be like, nah, they're not good. And I was going fucking ballistic over it, because I was like, what do you mean? Look at what they're doing. It's good. It's awesome. It's not perfect. There's some luck and there's some holes. But look, it's not like the years before. It's not the reputation that you always talk about. And it was still just LOL Mets. And I started, I don't think I realized this until after they lost, and I was just like emotionally wrecked that I made this connection, that like I felt like if that team finally won, you break that reputation. You can't say anything anymore. There's total proof, indisputable evidence of like, no, this is how it is. You're wrong. And then when they just fell short, it was like, no, it'll just always be the same way. It'll just always be that reputation. And I felt like, because there are so many times where we're succeeding here at KFC Radio, or we're doing, great things for charity, or we're doing great things with the new hires or whatever, and we're doing all this good shit. And there's just this, thing from the past and this reputation that you can't shake, and it doesn't matter what you're currently doing or showing until you can somehow prove like, the ultimate. And in sports, luckily, there is this one defined, agreed upon thing. If you do this, then everyone else is wrong and you're right. And they lose and you win. And then there's nothing anybody can say. And I realize in life, there's nothing really like that. I mean, there's certain things, like you can go get a bunch of money, or we can get certain rankings or levels or success, downloads, whatever. I'll probably always just have people who judge me for whatever they want to judge me for, and stick, that reputation on me no matter what. But in some way, I think I was like, this team, and I really, throughout the year, I never once said to myself, like, wow, like I'm the Mets are me. But until it was over. But I think somewhere probably inside it was like, every time somebody said, this team sucks, now they're about to lose it, and they would go win, it was like, fuck you. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. You're dead wrong. And it felt so good every single time, whether it was that fat idiot Frank or Braves fans or Yankees fans or whatever. They would always say something, and we, the Mets, they would prove everybody wrong. And, there's not, again, in the game of life, there's not as a set, like, here's the game, and did you win or lose, and what is your record? It's a lot more abstract than that as far as what you can achieve and not achieve, and what do people respect and not respect, and what do they think is good and bad, and how do you build your reputation. But there was this, connection that I thought, like, what if finally this is the one where it all gets erased, the jokes die, the reputation is dead, there's no way to troll, all the ammo and evidence is gone, because like they proved everybody wrong and could show it. And not only did that not happen, it was the furthest thing from happening. So it was like, nope, never mind. Your life is your life. Your reputation is your reputation, and it's gonna just be this way until you fucking die. So it was something that I mean, again, I was like, I've been upset about sports teams in the past. I remember like in 2007 when the Mets blew it. I remember I was like devastated, but people around me were like crying and really like went catatonic. And I remember being like, all right, listen, I'm upset. But like, let's pump the brakes here. Like, this is just sports. But it was because I was a 20 22-year-old kid at the time, not a care in the world. I didn't need, like, sports didn't mean. It's funny. It's like when you're young, you're into sports because you're just like a dummy, right? You're just like, I don't know, whatever. I like sports. And I feel like almost as I've gotten older, I like less sports. Overall, the general sports mean less to me. But what does matters like way more to me, deeply to me, because it's just been that many more years that I put into it, and that means, you know, there's something. And really, like, when for baseball, it's like an everyday thing that was there. Like when work was tough, when shit with the kids is tough, when shit with the ex-wife is tough, when, you know, just growing old and your body and you're feeling sick and you're like, when everything else was bad, like almost every night the Mets would win. Like 2 out of 3 nights. You know, we won 101 games out of 162. It was like more often than not, I would end the night being like, fuck yeah. Like, and again, it's not that you accomplish anything, but, you know, the team you vouch for, or the thing you get into. I mean, in this world these days, whether it's politics, the party you root for, the guy you root for, the person you want to vote in, or whether it's sports, whether it's your favorite fucking influencer, whether it's your favorite reality star, you know, people, we like stake our reputations on them, and like our like personality and our, you know, everything is tied into that. And it's silly because it's just a game that, you know, we're talking about hitting a ball with a stick and running around touching square bags. But especially for us, when it becomes, you know, like Dave has said a million times, like he's fucking around being an asshole, being like, well, you know, you've been replaced by Frank as the Mets guy, and like you're wrong about the Mets, and he's right, and then you have 1,000 million people saying that, and then, you know, you whether or not it's a silly argument or the result of what you're talking about matters in the grand scheme of life or not, you like stake your worth on that, and you go to bat for that, and you fight to the death for that. So it's almost like, you know when they say, I've used this example many times before, when you're an adult and you got kids and bills and shit sucks, you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. And then you see like a high school senior or college senior who's like, oh my God, I've got midterms this week, like I'm freaking out. And you're like, you don't even know stress. You don't even fucking know what stress means. And in the big grand scheme, like, yeah, you're right. But in that moment, all they know and all they experience is like, this test is really hard, and this is the only thing that matters in my life, and I have to do good, and if I don't, my life is over. So to them, their brain and their heart and their emotions are probably kicking the same exact way you are. It's just they don't know about how fucking worse it's going to get, you know? And so in this world, it's like, it's so silly to put your, you know, your, like I said, your whole personality in a way into the hands of these fucking random ass grown men making millions of dollars to play a game. But it becomes that way, and I think it becomes that way for a lot of people, but it actually becomes that way when you work here or you work in sports, where you're making predictions, you're making claims, you're fighting, you're arguing, and all of a sudden it doesn't just become like, did you get your prediction right? It becomes like, you know, you represent something like bigger and better. And I know how ridiculous this all sounds. And so this is why I really wanted to do this monologue here, is because there's this writer, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Mark Doty, D-O-T-Y. And he's this poet and a writer. He's like the premier writer when it comes to dealing with loss and grieving. And he wrote about his dogs dying. And I didn't read the whole thing because, you know, fuck reading. But, you know, he basically talks about these 2 main things that occur, these 2 like phenomenons that occur when you lose a pet. And it's like this double whammy of, it's almost like the idea of like inappropriate grief. That the first thing you will face is that people don't really think what you're going through is that big of a deal. If you don't have a dog and somebody's dog dies, you're like, oh, that's sad. But like, come on, that's a fucking dog. You'll get another one. You'll be fine. Life goes on. What's the big deal? But I'm so sorry for your loss. You say it to their face, but behind their back, you see someone, if they're, you know, crying and grieving and crushed, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, dude, it's just a pet. You know, how old was it really? Like, come on. And then there's the second thing of, even if you do have a dog, and you do identify, you rather quickly will move on. You know, like you'll be there maybe in the beginning. You can kind of relate and kind of understand, but you're like, yeah, okay, it's been a month. You know, get back to it. And so it's this idea of, you know, having an inappropriate amount of grief for something that, you know, we have decided or our society kind of deems not that important or not worthy of like your tears or your sadness, because it's like, you know, what things could be worse. Like I said with the kid taking the test, like you know, oh, your dog died. Well, you know, no one in your family's dead. You're not sick. You've got health and wealth. Like, what's the big deal? I think that there needs to be a poet that stands up and writes for it about sports, because it's so silly. But if you do watch it in a way, if you're a casual fan and you're punching a hole in the wall or something, or you lost your bet and you fucking punch a hole in the TV, it's like, all right, yeah, you're an overreacting asshole. But, you know, I talked to some of the guys here that we all rooted for the Mets, and like, I can tell they're all kind of going through the same thing of like genuine heartbreak, but knowing that is silly, knowing that they can't like come to work and be, you know, if you had a sibling who died or something, nobody expects you to go to work and you know, everyone would give you your space and your time. And of course, this is not on that level, but it's like there is some in between of like, well, this does fucking, it almost makes it hurt. Like there's more in a way, because it's like it hurts, but it shouldn't. I know this is dumb, but I can't stop the way that I'm feeling. So you need somebody to stand up for like that side of things. Like looking at Pavs this week. I mean, Pavs was like, he's going through it for like the first time, really. Like he lost friends over this. He's leaving his own home because of it. He's like, I gotta go home. I gotta like retreat back to my house. He is in a world of hurt. That's a whole different side of things when you're still.
He, like when I saw him on Monday and said, "What's up?" It was like talking to somebody who just lost a relative.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
and I know that sounds ridiculous.
Brutal.
It does sound silly. And I know there's so many people laughing. That,
and I felt bad because I did start laughing immediately, because I have no other reaction to this, because you are like, it was somebody trying to keep their chin up after losing a loved one. It was wild.
I know it sounds silly, and I wish I wasn't this way, but that is what it feels like. It's like you're visiting, like it's like you're visiting someone at like a old folks home every day. You like make friends you work at like an old folks home, and you make friends with somebody, and they're sick and they're not doing well, and then all of a sudden they finally are doing well, and you think they're gonna like get out and go home, and then one day you show up and their bed's empty, and the doctor's like, oh, they're dead, they're gone, and you're just like, what? We were best friends. We played like chess every day, and he gave me fucking little butterscotches or whatever the fuck old people do, and it's just like, poof, it's gone. This thing that you like made your life better or worse or whatever, emotional, for like 6 straight months, and meant, you know, like I said, to me it meant something about my reputation and my life, and to Pabs it might have meant something else, and to the old people, they want to just see it before they die, and it represents like the things I never got to do in life or whatever. Sports always kind of means something bigger or more, whether or not you realize it. And then so when it goes bad, it is no joke. It's like, holy shit. Like I had never reacted that way about a sports team. Never once was like ever actually really emotionally affected, other than like, fuck, this sucks. I'm going to talk shit and I got to hear it. This was like you know, no matter what else the other teams do, Yankee fans or whoever else I'm like fighting with, this was like I need to, you know, fill this void or like fill this hole or whatever it may be. And I like that this dude wrote this book about his dogs, and I think there was enough dog owners and enough people, and he had enough clout and talent as this amazing poet, that it came out as this like eloquent, you know, way to grieve something that other people think isn't worthy of your grief, and how, you know, you're gonna encounter people who don't care about it at all, or they do and they, you know, care about it for a second and then move on and expect you to also. And maybe he's a sports fan and he can go through it along with his dogs and articulate it better than I can. But there needs to be, if you're a sports fan out there who reacts the way I did and thinks that you're surprised by it or shocked by it or you're struggling with it, you're not alone, man. There are a lot of other people out there. And I think that a lot of people won't say it because it is embarrassing or you do feel silly. I do it because it's like the job, and part of it is showing that emotion and showing all the fans, how much of a fan you are so that you all kind of connect. But the average fan isn't going to go into a regular day of work and be like crying their eyes out because you're in a corporate world. It's like, shut the fuck up and go make me my money. Here, it's like, Pavs was like, I don't know what to do. I have to leave my apartment. I can't be around my roommates. They're going to be terrible to me. I've lost friends over text messaging right now. I need to go home and be with my family the same way that you would when something bad in your life happens.
I definitely I went through this, but I luckily went through it when I was younger. It was fifth, 6th, and 7th grade. So 5th grade.
But you're supposed to, right?
But that was 03, the Cubs having that fucking collapse.
Brutal.
And then find out Moises Alou pissed on his hands. And being in a town where you have that crosstown rivalry makes it so much worse because half the class is just going to berate you.
Yes.
Especially I had just transferred to we had moved, so the only thing I had to connect with other kids was the Cubs.
Yeah.
So I was kind of being a loudmouth about it. So in 05, when the fucking White Sox, I'm talking shit the entire year, and they made it look fucking easy.
Danced, tiptoed to the fucking to the World Series.
The entire time I'm like, oh, they're gonna blow it. They're gonna blow it. Just talking shit, and then having to go in. I don't remember. I probably did take a day off.
I have absolutely. I've taken. I've done it in the past with the Yankees. That's another thing in New York. I'm happy you said that because in other towns you lose and everybody's sad together and it's whatever. Here you lose and the majority of the town is kicking you while you're down and talking shit, and that's also part of it. I was born in the Bronx. I grew up around pretty much my whole life. I just knew my mom and my brother and the occasional one or two other Mets fans. Everybody else I knew was a Yankee fan. My friends, my enemies, girlfriends, teachers, bosses, coworkers, everybody was a Yankee fan.
I'm a Southside Cubs fan.
So you're stuck.
I did not realize how rare that was until I went to a bigger school, because I originally went to this little Catholic school that there was
small
8 people
classes.
in my class at one point. Yeah. And then I went to one where it was there's 200 people in this half of the grade, and
there's 4 of you total, right? It's
there were not many, and it was oh shit.
But even that is I mean, for me, my whole life has been this uphill battle of fuck these people. And one day, I'm gonna get it, and the situation is gonna be reversed. And we're pushing 4 decades, and it hasn't happened yet. And so that starts to be part of it too, where you're will this fucking ever happen? But what you're talking about also is, I think, more acceptable. You're a 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid. You're trying to find friends. You're going through puberty. You're trying to find your way. You're already over emotional to begin with, and then you're getting bullied and you're fighting. And the good thing happens and you're excited, but then the bad thing happens and you're crushed and you go home and you cry and your mom tells you it's going to be okay.
Don't get me wrong. There's people that at this company I didn't like, because when I first came here, it was the Cubs going in 2017. It was one when Big Cat hurt his back and was watching from, and a guy came up to me. It was just my first day. I happened to be wearing Cubs. I wasn't watching whatever game, and he was just a snide asshole and was like, oh, how's the score? How's that going? And I'm shy, nervous, and I'm just immediately oh, I get what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
And they're no longer here, so fuck them. But I mean, even up to this day, even though I don't watch sports, I still get that.
Yeah. When
you guys kicked us out in fucking
15.
Yeah, 15. That was brutal.
Oh my God. That was the highest I've ever been.
Yeah. And then the next year, the pure ecstasy of winning, I was able to finally step back and be all right, I don't have to be a psychopath.
That's the thing. Anymore. I just want to get one so I can stop, because it is weird and it is over the top, but it does It does become, and then, like I said, when you're a kid, it's just as silly, but it's a little more acceptable. When you're an adult, it's hard to be like, I'm crying over the Mets.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as, there's somebody being like, oh, like, okay, you lost your dog, like, whatever, man, like, it happens, just like keep it moving. But the people who have that everyday connection with that thing or that pet or that whatever, it's I would venture to guess that, like, if you looked at my brain waves or your emotions and your chemicals and shit going on inside, it would all fire and look the same way as somebody going through, like, what we call, like, actual tragedy. Yeah. So it's for anybody out there who's going through it, feels ridiculous because of it, knows it's kind of ridiculous, but also can't seem to stop himself from feeling it. You're not alone. I got you. There's a lot of us out there, whether or not you admit it, whether or not you can openly say it. Some of us are in a job where you can, some of us can't, but just know it's not that crazy, and you're not alone, that there are people out there feeling the same way. And come on back next year, because we'll do this all over again and over again until you're fucking dead, because there's no such thing. Sleep is not an escape. Sleep is just a Band-Aid on a gunshot. Sleep is just a quick reprieve. Until you feel the sweet release of death, we'll do this forever and ever. See you tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe to KFC Radio on YouTube to get all the video content. Subscribe, comment, like, and make sure you turn on the bell notifications so you know whenever new video content drops.
I want to say something, but the video has to be faster. That's it.